Attention. Podcast disclaimer. The writer's intention is to explore real-life situations and emotions in this fictional context. Again, this podcast is a work of fiction. Absolutely, none of the events depicted are real. The storylines and characters are purely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. However, please note that this podcast may address sensitive issues that some people may find distressing. It is not suitable for children or individuals who may be sensitive to such content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Episode 10. Final Revelations, Power Plays, and Unforeseen Consequences. Welcome to Apostle Wilson's scandalous faith drama, The Pentecostals Quote. All that glitters is not gold. End quote. William Shakespeare. Note, this episode includes sensitive and disturbing themes. Please exercise caution while listening. Scene 1. The Unraveling Conspiracy. Desperation seizes Archbishop Mackenzie. In the brooding half-light of his secluded office, a place where many secrets were born and kept, Archbishop Mackenzie is found slumped behind his imposing desk. He is a man whose back is bending under the enormous weight of a world he himself constructed out of secret deals and untold truths. The room, a silent witness to his many machinations, is filled only with the faint, relentless ticking of a clock, a cruel reminder of time's merciless march. Suddenly, the harsh ring of his phone shatters this eerie quietude. He snatches it up, his voice a fraught whisper, vibrating with the tremors of anticipation. "Archbishop, it's Cheryl." The voice on the other end plunges into the silence, its grave tone echoing with urgency. "We have a problem. The FBI has arrested Jermaine." The pallor of Archbishop Mackenzie's face becomes stark as he pushes himself to his feet, his mind whirling as he tries to comprehend the dire implications. "What? How could this be?" he demands, his voice climbing an octave as panic starts to seep into his words. Rev Cheryl, the other half of their clandestine partnership, speaks with a collected calmness that belies the gravity of their situation. "It's about the money and the counterfeit bills we replaced." Archbishop Mackenzie paces like a caged animal, his fear so palpable it fills the room. If Eduardo uncovers our ruse, if he realizes we've been replacing his money with fake bills, he'll come after us. He won't hesitate to kill us, Cheryl. His voice wavers, the tremor of fear a stark contrast to his usual composed demeanor. In a chilling revelation, it comes to light that Rev Cheryl and Archbishop Mackenzie have been orchestrating a secretive and dangerous ploy. They've been substituting Eduardo's laundered cash with counterfeit bills, only to pay him back in small increments over time using his own money. Rev Cheryl, ever the pragmatic one, attempts to pacify him. "I've already set Michael Ramon, our trusted lawyer, on Jermaine's case. This will be handled. Don't worry." But Archbishop Mackenzie is far from comforted. "You must fix this, Cheryl. You simply must," he pleads, desperation clawing at his voice. He slams the phone down with a force that resonates through the room. As he swivels away from the desk, a sudden searing pain clamps around his chest like a vice. He staggers, his hand flailing out to find something to steady himself, but finds nothing. His breaths become short, sharp gasps as he crumples to his knees, reaching out for his phone to call for help. But it's too late. His strength drains away as his hand falls short of the phone. The room spins as the edges of his vision darken, his body going limp as he crumples onto the cold floor, lifeless. Just as the weight of silence threatens to consume the room, the door abruptly swings open, the creaking noise piercing the quiet. Archbishop Mackenzie's wife, Elizabeth, steps in, her eyes wide with shock as she takes in the scene. Her gaze lands on her husband's lifeless body on the floor. She lets out a blood-curdling scream that echoes through the room, her body trembling as the gravity of the situation sinks in. The horrifying reality of her husband's untimely demise leaves her weak, her knees buckling as she falls to the ground, tears streaming down her face as she cries out in despair. The scene dissolves into a black void, leaving behind a chilling silence in its aftermath. The secret plot between Archbishop Mackenzie and Rev Cheryl, once their beacon of salvation, has morphed into a deadly snare with unforeseen and far-reaching consequences. This scene marks a dramatic pivot in the narrative, revealing the deep-seated desperation and fear that lurk beneath the veneer of power and conspiracy. It sets the stage for a thrilling unraveling of hidden drama and repercussions. Scene 2, FBI headquarters. Title: The Interrogation Interrupted. In the sterile, buzzing atmosphere of the FBI offices, Jermaine Johnson found himself under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights in an interrogation room. Across the table sat Agents Smith and Jones, their expressions unreadable, their files thick with accusation. "Jermaine Johnson," Agent Smith began, his voice cold and steady, "we know about the money and the drugs found in your car. Care to explain?" Jermaine, his hands cuffed, shook his head vehemently. "Those aren't mine. I've told you 100 times already." Agent Jones leaned forward, his eyes piercing. "We have you on tape, Johnson. Deny it all you want, but we caught you red-handed." The room's tension escalated, the air thick with the weight of impending doom, when suddenly the door burst open. A man in a sharply tailored suit strode in confidently, his presence commanding attention. "Jermaine, I'm Michael Raymond, your lawyer." The newcomer introduced himself, then turned his attention to the agents. "I'd like to see the warrant for my client's arrest." Agent Smith scoffed, a smirk spreading across his face as he and Agent Jones exchanged a look. "This guy," he muttered under his breath before slamming the door behind him. Moments later, he returned, forcefully placing the warrant on the table. "Here's your damn warrant. Now what? Your client is going down?" Michael picked up the warrant, scanning it meticulously. The agents leaned against the wall, smug smiles on their faces, watching him. Michael's expression turned nervous as he read, but then he looked up sharply. "How did you get this confession?" he asked, his tone steady. Jones replied with a smirk. "We have him on tape. His wife was wearing a wire." Michael's demeanor shifted as he processed this new information. After a brief pause, his voice was calm but firm. "Now show me the warrant for the wire that Jermaine's wife was wearing." The confidence of Agent Smith and Jones faltered, their expressions turning from smug to stunned as they fumbled for words, the realization of their oversight dawning on them. Michael stood, a newfound assertiveness in his posture. "We are through here, gentlemen," he declared, motioning to Jermaine. As Agent Smith roughly uncuffed Jermaine, in a fit of frustration, Agent Jones picked up a chair, slamming it against the wall, the sound echoing through the room. Jermaine, still in disbelief, rose from his chair, following Michael out of the room. "What just happened?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion and relief. Michael glanced at him, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "The confession they obtained from you is inadmissible in court. They had no warrant for the wiretap. It's a basic violation of your rights." As they walked out of the FBI headquarters, the heavy doors closing behind them, Jermaine felt a weight lifting off his shoulders, the air of freedom sweet and inviting. This scene, the sudden appearance of his lawyer, Michael Raymond, turns the tables, revealing the agent's violation of Jermaine's rights and leading to his unexpected release. This showcases Michael's astute legal acumen and hints at hidden power dynamics, leaving Jermaine and the audience with lingering questions about the unseen forces at work. Interlude: Silent Agreements, a limo ride to freedom. Title: The Unseen Hand, Michael Raymond's Call. The scene transitions smoothly from the tense atmosphere of the FBI headquarters to the serene, muted interior of Michael Raymond's luxurious limousine. The contrast couldn't be more stark. The comfort of the leather seats and the soft hum of the city outside feel like a different world compared to the cold, stark interrogation room. Jermaine, still processing the whirlwind of events that led to his sudden release, sits in quiet contemplation, staring out the window. Michael, sitting opposite him, pulls out his phone with a practiced ease, dialing a number he seems knows all too well. "Hello, it's done. He's out and in the car with me. I hold you received my invoice that was faxed over?" Michael speaks into the phone, his voice steady, betraying none of the tension from moments ago. There's a brief pause before Rev Cheryl's voice comes through, tinged with relief and satisfaction. "Yes, I got it. Thank you. Great work. I'll have your payment processed. Remember, this never happened." Michael nods, a gesture unseen by the person on the other end. "Understood," he replies, ending the call with a finality that marks the close of yet another chapter in his career. Jermaine, curiosity piqued by the one-sided conversation, turns to Michael. "Who was that?" he asks, his voice a mix of confusion and curiosity. Michael, not knowing Jermaine and Rev's connection, meets his gaze, the briefest flicker of contemplation crossing his features before he settles on a response. "You don't want to know," he says, the weight of his words implying layers of complexity and connections best left unexplored. The limousine glides through the streets of Atlanta, the city lights blurring into streams of color as they move. The scene, rich with the unsaid and the unseen, closes on the two men, each lost in their thoughts, as the limo turns a corner, disappearing into the night. Interlude to Scene 2 ends, leaving a trail of questions, implications, and the stark reminder of the power plays hidden just beneath the surface of the visible world. This scene sets the stage for unfolding narratives, hinting at the depth of intrigue and the network of alliances that underpin the story's fabric. Scene 3. Family Tensions and Urgent Crisis. Title: Revelations and Rush to the Hospital. Angela and Prophet Ezekiel swiftly approach the Johnson residence, anxiety and urgency palpable in their steps. As they enter, Rachel, standing at the threshold, her face etched with concern, ushers them into a living room where the air is thick with tension and fear. Prophetess Johnson, amidst tears, struggles to maintain her composure. "Mom, what's going on? Why have they arrested Jermaine?" Angela's voice trembles, her eyes scanning the room for answers. Angela, her resolve hardening, reassures her mother. "I've already called Dad. He should be pulling up any time. He'll know what to do. He always does." Soon after, the sound of a car pulling up signals Eduardo's arrival. The door swings open, and out steps Sylvia, Eduardo's wife, her attire speaking volumes of her life away from this turmoil. Angela's surprise is unmistakable. Sylvia's presence is a ghost from a past filled with complexities and untold stories. As Eduardo and Sylvia enter, the simmering tensions boil over. "What is she doing here in my house?" Prophetess Johnson's voice is laced with betrayal. Eduardo responds firmly, "This is my wife, and she's here because I am here." During the period when Prophetess Johnson was struggling with addiction and was in rehab, Eduardo and Sylvia began a relationship. For nearly 2 years, Sylvia stepped in and took care of the children, providing them with stability during a turbulent time. The confrontation escalates until Angela's sudden cry for help halts the argument. Clutching her stomach, she doubles over in pain, a worrying sign of distress. The family's focus shifts instantly. Eduardo and Prophet Ezekiel rush to assist Angela to the car, their earlier feud forgotten in the face of this new emergency. Just as they're about to depart, Jermaine arrives, stepping out from a limousine with a look of confusion and concern. "Jermaine, how? What happened?" Prophetess Johnson's relief at seeing her son free is overshadowed by the unfolding crisis. "We'll talk about it later, Mom. Let's focus on Angela right now," Jermaine insists, his attention turning to his sister's well-being. The family, now united by a common purpose, hurries to the hospital with Angela. The convoy of cars speeds through the streets, a silent testament to the bonds that hold them together, even in the most challenging times. The scene fades as the cars disappear into the distance, leaving behind unanswered questions and a family on the brink of change. This scene captures the intricate dynamics of a family caught in the crossfire of past decisions and present crises, highlighting the complexities of relationships and the sudden shifts in priorities that come with emergencies. Scene 4. A shocking revelation and a tragic misfire. Title: Unveiling Hidden Truths. The scene opens at the hospital, with Angela in a private room, her condition the center of everyone's concern. The waiting area is filled with anxious faces. Eduardo, Prophetess Johnson, Rachel, and the Wrights, all united by worry, yet divided by secrets and unsaid truths. Eduardo, seeing the doctor, follows him to Angela's room. The doctor steps in to speak with Angela, and Eduardo follows, his expression grave. "I have some unfortunate news. Angela, it's about your condition," he begins, hesitantly. Angela interjects, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "Please, you can speak openly. My father's here." With a sigh, the doctor delivers the heartbreaking news. "I'm sorry, but you've had a miscarriage." Eduardo, in disbelief, reacts first. "My daughter isn't pregnant." The revelation shatters the room's tense silence as Angela breaks down, her secret laid bare. Eduardo envelops Angela in his arms, offering a father's comfort in a moment of profound loss. "Talk to me, baby," he urges gently. "What is he saying?" As Prophetess Johnson enters, her concern quickly turns to shock. "What happened? What's going on?" "Angela, What's wrong? As the Wrights make their way up the hallway and hesitantly enter Angela's room. If you recall, in episode 9, Bishop Wright had confessed his infidelity to his wife, who was already aware of the situation between he and Angela. As they enter, through her tears, Angela looks up at Bishop Wright and admits, "I'm sorry, I lost the baby." The revelation hits Eduardo like a thunderbolt, the connection between Angela and Bishop Wright now painfully clear. In a moment of rage emotion, Eduardo rushes at Bishop Wright, the tension erupting into a physical altercation. The hospital room becomes a scene of chaos, with shouts for them to stop. Prophetess Wright, acting swiftly, calls for security, her voice cutting through the turmoil. In the ensuing chaos, a moment of extreme danger surfaces. Unexpectedly, Eduardo's gun slips from his waistband, initiating a fierce struggle between him and Bishop Wright for control of the weapon. As they grapple, they manage to rise to their feet, locked in a desperate tug-of-war over the firearm. Suddenly, the deafening blast of 2 gunshots rings out, casting a chilling silence over the room. Bishop Wright looks down in shock, his shirt slowly staining with blood. "You shot me!" he cries out. Simultaneously, Prophetess Wright collapses to the floor, life draining from her. The bullet, it seems, was through and through, existing Bishop Wright's left side, miraculously avoiding all vital organs, only to fatally strike Prophetess Wright. The scene is a pulse-pounding tableau of action and consequence, the result of a struggle gone horribly wrong. Security and medical staff rush into the room, their faces filled with shock at the sight that greets them. Prophetess Johnson lies lifeless on the floor, her blood pooling around her. The room is a whirlwind of panic and confusion. Bishop Wright, clutching his own bleeding wound, kneels beside her, his face a mask of disbelief and regret. In a display of pure desperation and shock, Bishop Wright fights against those trying to pull him away. His screams reverberate through the room, his frantic kicks and thrashes reflecting the turmoil within. Caught up in the chaos and confusion, Eduardo manages to slip away unnoticed. He navigates through the crowded hospital, each step taking him further away from the turmoil behind him. As he exits the hospital, the cool night air greets him, a stark contrast to the suffocating tension he leaves behind. The episode closes on a cliffhanger, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, wondering about the consequences of these revelations and the future of all involved. This dramatic culmination of events sets the stage for profound changes and challenges ahead, promising a continuation of the story that will delve deeper into forgiveness, healing, and possibly reconciliation. In this season of Apostle Wilson's The Pentecostals, viewers were taken on a whirlwind of emotions, suspense, and shocking revelations. This dramatic narrative followed the lives of a close-knit community involved in a web of secrets, power dynamics, and unforeseen consequences. The season finale, Final Revelations, Power Plays, and Unforeseen Consequences, brought many hidden truths to light. The clandestine partnership between Archbishop Mackenzie and Rev. Cheryl was exposed, revealing their dangerous ploy to replace laundered cash with counterfeit bills. Their plot, once a beacon of salvation, morphed into a deadly snare with devastating consequences, culminating in the tragic death of Archbishop Mackenzie. In the face of FBI scrutiny, the strength and cunning of their trusted lawyer, Michael Ramon, was revealed. Through his astute legal acumen, he was able to secure Jermaine Johnson's unexpected release, hinting at hidden power dynamics and leaving lingering questions about the unseen forces at work. The episode ended on a high note, with an intense hospital scene involving Angela's miscarriage and the shocking revelation of Bishop Wright's infidelity. In a twist of fate, a struggle between Eduardo and Bishop Wright ended in tragedy, with Prophetess Johnson being shot. Looking ahead to Season 2, viewers can expect more thrilling drama and emotional turmoil. The fallout from the dramatic events of the season finale will surely impact each character's journey. The consequences of Bishop Wright's actions and the future of the church community will be central to the plot. New alliances could form as characters navigate their changed reality, and the quest for forgiveness and healing will undoubtedly be a running theme. Expect more shocking revelations, power plays, and riveting drama in the upcoming season of The Pentecostals.
Grace and peace. This is Bishop Wilson. And listen, I want to thank you personally for joining me in this season of the Pentecostals. Listen, it's been a great run this season. We had 10 episodes. We're going to probably be putting out a couple extra things afterwards. But we ask, if you haven't heard each episode, you go back wherever you get your podcast. That's Spotify, that's Apple Music, that's iHeartRadio, even on YouTube. You can go back and listen. But I want to personally thank you for your support of Apostle Wilson's The Pentecostals. Until next season, God bless.